In Hollywood, their names can make celebrities and moguls stand at attention. To moviegoers, they're better known than many of the stars on the screen. Who are they? They are the film critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. And they're so popular that how they feel about some movies can have quite an impact at the box office. But as you'll see in Lynn Scher's report, what makes these guys such a hot act is not only what they say, but how they say it to us, and more importantly, to each other.
Chicago, 9:30 a.m. The gladiators are entering the arena. You are about to witness a showdown.
But that's not fair, because I got you. You see,
didn't get me.
You can sit around.
Score one for Gene Siskel in his weekly face-off with his television partner and professional adversary, Roger Ebert. They're here to tape their popular TV show about movies. Perhaps you recognize their thumbs, the ones they've made famous with their TV reviews.
2 thumbs up for Steve Martin.
Up means they liked the movie. Down means they didn't. On that much they agree. Most everything else gets the duel of egos going all over again.
Where did the thumbs idea come from?
Boy, I don't remember.
I came up with that idea. And before me, the Romans.
Off camera, both men are movie critics for competing Chicago newspapers. Siskel's with the Tribune, Ebert the Sun-Times. And in a city where journalism wars mean going for the jugular, these two began their own private battle.
It's been my mission since I was 23 years old to beat him. That's 18 years ago. He is the one person in Chicago that I must destroy in print.
We didn't speak to each other at all the first 9 years that we knew each other, before we started doing the show. We were film critics here in Chicago. We would walk to the screenings together, walk into the screening rooms, probably side by side, go up and down in elevators without ever exchanging a word. And then they asked us if we would like to do this show with each other, and my original response was no. What do I have to do a show with Gene Siskel for? I can do a show all by myself.
The name of our show is opening soon at a theater near you. And this is Roger Ebert, the film critic from the Chicago Sun-Times.
And right over here is Gene Siskel, the film
They premiered on public television in 1975. At the time, both had more hair and less taste in clothes. But it was a beginning.
When we come back, we'll review Men Out of the
Today,
Spring.
the format that Siskel and Ebert pioneered, a half-hour show consisting only of movie reviews, has become so successful it's been copied by other teams. And a thumbs-up review from them is coveted by movie makers as a way to help guarantee crowds. Here's how the show works. Each movie review opens with a clip. Then one guy gives his opinion.
and reminded me more of World War II war movies than of the special war in Vietnam.
What follows is what really counts. Siskel and Ebert call it crosstalk.
See, not a bad movie, but it's not original and it's not a masterpiece.
Oh, I think it's very original and very close to being a masterpiece. I mean,
In fact, it is unscripted, unrehearsed, unmitigated war.
and then when I see a sniper go on an American and Kubrick has his camera push in, I feel for the first time people getting attacked.
That is a cliche, Gene. I mean,
No.
when I saw that push, I was so disappointed in Kubrick. This whole sequence is taken right out of absolutely routine grade B Republic,
Roger,
World War II war movies of guys running out there to try to save their buddy and somebody else shooting at them.
I have never felt a kill in a movie quite like that.
Depending on the movie, the war can escalate.
If we had gotten down to Louisiana faster, I think the film would have paid off
Yeah,
faster.
but I don't think you want television.
No,
let's hurry up and tell the story. Let's get it over. I want to know what happened.
Don't lay it on me that I want television. You know I don't want television any more than
fine.
you do.
Well, in that case, I'm sorry you have to be on this show.
It felt to me as if you were putting him down in a very real way. That wasn't acting. You were really putting him down.
We have real arguments. When you disagree on a movie, you're not disagreeing on the movie, you're disagreeing on who you are. You see, if I don't like a movie, and he does, then I'm not saying, you know, that the movie is flawed or that the movie isn't flawed. I'm saying that he's flawed. There's a flaw in his character that makes him like that movie. And so basically it's a very personal thing.
What about the movie? Yeah. What about the dialogue? What about the characters? What about the world?
There is sometimes hostility. We are sometimes extremely angry with each other. And this is based upon the fact that we are completely incompatible in terms of our personalities.
Roger has a style about him that drives me crazy. I have described him as a party unto himself.
I mean, to him, competition is absolutely the beginning and the end of the day. And I occasionally take a few hours off. I like to tell jokes or something.
I know all of his jokes. I can do all of his jokes. And then the laughter that he supplies in case anyone else doesn't laugh. He now is calling me robo-critic. And he said, this is robo-critic. This is my opinion. He thinks I'm so stiff and proud, you know. And, you know, he's, by comparison, a bowl of Jell-O. You know, he's a Pillsbury Doughboy of criticism. I mean, you know, just touch that little button, he'll give you a little laugh, and he loved the little movie.
And it's a terrific performance,
yes.
And it's a good movie.
Yes.
The truth is, the Doughboy and Robo-Critic often do agree on movies, and their blunt, sensible comments have made them real people viewers trust. With an audience of some 5 million for more than 200 film reviews a year, they're among the most watched movie critics on the air.
Do you care that you have influence on whether a movie does well or not?
I'm delighted if it has an influence. And why shouldn't I be? Who am I going to let influence people? The ad agencies? That's the alternative. Look at all the full-page ads. You see a double-page ad for Nuts and Barbra Streisand? Go. And boy, are you going to be disappointed.
Now, which movies did we lose? Leonard Part 6 is out.
And Overboard.
But despite their shared sense of responsibility to the public, they see most every encounter with each other as a chance to disagree.
How about this?
I don't think I would go that way.
This time, it's a production meeting to determine the lineup of next week's half-hour show.
I have a feeling Moonstruck should go first and Eddie Murphy should go last because it's basically a concert video.
This is the way I think I would go.
No, you still should have Eddie Murphy last in September, up higher.
No, I think you tease it into holding it.
But are you aware that September is the Woody Allen picture?
Yes.
Don't you think there are more people interested in the new Woody Allen picture than in a concert video of Eddie Murphy?
I think they're interested in Eddie Murphy.
And here's the preferred order.
Right. And this is
At least preferred by me.
I didn't hear a single person vote for your running order. Maybe my can was fizzing too loudly.
I think your can is often fizzed too loudly.
Okay.
In a nation that loves football games and the Honeymooners reruns, their verbal scrimmages and constant bickering have helped make Siskel and Ebert pop stars. They've shown up on late-night TV talk shows and are the only movie-reviewing duo immortalized in clay.
No, I give this one thumbs up.
Hey, I wouldn't give these guys a job.
Well, perhaps a bit dated.
But nice visual.
A stylistic mishmash.
Which is why I liked it.
And I hated it.
Are you concerned that the team is better known than Gene Siskel all by himself?
It doesn't bother me. I mean, if people know me as the guy who works with that other guy, that's how I like to refer to him, the other guy, then so be it. That's okay.
The fact that I'm linked with this guy is sometimes very frustrating because I do not think of myself as part of a team. I think of myself as a complete, self-contained film critic, one-stop shopping.
Roger Ebert is the only newspaper movie critic to have won a Pulitzer Prize. He's also written books about film, teaches a course in film criticism, contributes reviews to a local Chicago television station, and has spent enough time at the Cannes Film Festival to be greeted like an equal by the film stars.
Is this as much fun as it looks like?
I don't know. I guess it is. How are you doing?
When did you buy your house?
A bachelor at age 45, Ebert is, according to Siskel, the more natural writer. As relaxed as a rumpled raincoat, he lives with 2 cats and an eclectic collection of art in a 3-story Victorian brownstone. By contrast, Gene Siskel seems more controlled. He's confined his career to the syndicated show, his newspaper columns, and a 13-year stint as movie critic on the opposing local TV station.
We're the only ones that have that footage.
Ebert calls him the more aggressive partner, dogged in trying to scoop the competition as he lines up his next interview.
We went over this whole thing.
That's an interesting story about...
At 42, Siskel lives with his wife Marlene, who's his former TV producer, and their 2 small daughters in a dramatic contemporary Chicago co-op.
This is one of my treasures. Yeah.
Amidst the formal decor, one of his favorite possessions is a bit of movie memorabilia he bought at auction.
I could never fill this suit.
The three-piece white suit actor John Travolta wore in the movie Saturday Night Fever.
This is an object unto itself.
Siskel's obsession with the suit and the movie is rooted in his unabashed passion for movies in general. And that passion is shared by his partner.
What is it about movies that you love so much?
I love the fact that it takes me out of my body, that it takes me out of my mind. You know, you read in the National Enquirer about, you know, people in Ohio who leave their bodies and they go in a spaceship to Mars, you know, and then they come back and they tell their story. That's what the movies can give you, an out-of-the-body experience.
Then take it even deeper. The lights go down. The light comes from behind your head. You're in a dreamlike state. You're looking up at a screen. It's bigger than you. You get lost in the world of the screen.
Now. He's looking at you, kid.
Who couldn't love that?
The world's baldest film critic.
The world's latest film critic. What was the matter? McDonald's was open?
You're only here on time because you're late for the previous screening.
The sniping stops when the lights go down in the screening room. And the reviews that will follow have linked Siskel with Ebert in the public's mind forever. In that order.
Why is the show Siskel and Ebert? And by the way, will it ever be Ebert and Siskel?
No.
You've signed on to Siskel and
There's
Ebert.
a long story about that, a long story. You know, I'm older. I've been a movie critic longer. E comes before S in the alphabet. I've got the Pulitzer Prize, and yet it's called Siskel and Ebert. And if you want to know why that is, you can ask Siskel.
Flip of the coin. It was a flip of the coin. I would have been more than willing to have it be Ebert and Siskel, but it will never be that way.
Why? You're willing. You're both very well known right now.
Yeah. No, it's just, it's known as Siskel and Ebert, and so it'll probably stay
You don't
that
think
way.
it could be known as Ebert and Siskel?
Nah, it'd never work.
Maybe not. But Siskel and Ebert wouldn't work either if their hostility excluded all other feelings.
Roger's a tad brighter than Gene.
That's right.
And while the competition keeps them both sharp, it turns out that's founded in mutual respect and even, dare we say it, affection.
It's kind of like a marriage or like a sibling rivalry. And it goes into phases. There'll be a couple of weeks in which we practically can't stand the sight of each other. Then a couple of weeks in which we're co-conspirators against the rest of the world. And it's gone on like this for 11 years. You know, there are times that I can't stand him, but I don't know what I'd do without him.
Roger is honest and a good critic, and that's the most important thing. And if I ever needed him for a personal reason, he would be there for me. Still, he drives me crazy.
What are you wrapping yourself in the flag of the sophisticated film critic who's seen it all?
No, boredom. Boredom with Benji running.
So it's not fair for you to compare this to every first shot. And it pushes in.
The whole thing off.
He's crossing the street and every shot.
You know, Lynn, they're so entertaining that even if you never go to the movies, you want to watch them.
And you know why that is, by the way? It's because they don't talk right to camera. They don't preach at us. They are talking to each other, and we are eavesdropping.
So you feel as if you're hearing very special things. Lynn, how much power do they actually have? Can they make or break a movie the way the newspaper critics in New York can make or break a Broadway show?
Well, you know, the studio executives don't believe that. They say that a Siskel and Ebert review is certainly desirable, but that's because in conjunction with other reviews, they can legitimize a film because they reach such a broad segment of the public. And, by the way, they can help with a small movie.
In the final analysis, we are each film critics. I like Barbra Streisand and I like not. So you pays your money and you take your choice. Thank you, Lynn.
Well, next, it happens without their even realizing it. Parents shattering their children's self-esteem. Stone Phillips reports words can be how we turn our kids away. Stay tuned for this.
Have you ever said this to your child?
Don't you understand? I've had a bad day. I'm trying to read the paper.
Lashing out. What's normal? How much is too much? Stone Phillips reports how we turn our kids away when 2020 continues.
Anesthesia that's in your hands.
plus an aerobics workout that is appealing and beneficial to men, and the pros and cons of becoming a vegetarian on the Health Show Saturday.
Good sense.
Parenting Our Parents, Sunday at 6 on Town Hall.
How would you feel if somebody turned to you and said, "You are really stupid. You're too stupid even to understand what I'm saying. I'm sick of you"? Well, that's a kind of unthinking statement that many parents blast their kids with. Up to now, we've heard of child abuse, and we've thought of it in terms of physical and sexual abuse. But recently, experts have become concerned about emotional abuse. It's much more common, and it's how many parents are turning their kids away. But Stone Phillips reports that along with the new awareness comes innovative programs to keep parent-child relationships intact.
Tonight, as many as 2 million teenagers in this country have left their families and are living on the streets. This is the sad evidence of something going wrong in our families, something going wrong between parents and their children. What can possibly make kids choose a life like this, looking for shelter in an old abandoned trailer? Some resorting to prostitution to stay alive. Some of these kids are running from physical and sexual abuse at home, but many are running away from something else just as painful.
You're pathetic. You can't do anything right.
You disgust me. Just shut up.
It's called emotional abuse.
You're worthless.
Dramatized in this television commercial by the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse.
Why don't you go find some other place to live?
Words hit as hard as a fist. Stop and listen to what you're saying.
I wish you were never born.
I'm sorry, I really tried. What else do you want from me? I am doing my best.
Don't you pull your emotional crap with me, because I have no pity for you, because I'm not proud of you, because you disappoint me all the time.
Emotional abuse, change.
This teenage workshop, sponsored by a New York City group called City Kids, is part of a new national campaign against the emotional abuse of children.
Emotional abuse is very serious because as a bad habit, it really demeans the child to a point where they lose their self-esteem.
Matilda Cuomo, wife of the governor of New York, helped organize this workshop to focus public attention on the problem.
I could care less what your problem is. You don't think I have problems of my own?
You're so stupid. I can't believe you're my son.
And they feel worthless. And then you find them dropping out of school, running away. They go into taking drugs and alcohol just to stifle the pain that they're feeling.
Look, I really need to speak with you.
Look, I'm gonna say it again. I'm trying to read the paper.
Dad, you're always reading the paper. You're always working. You're always doing something, but there's never no time for me, and I just want to talk.
Don't you understand? I've had a bad day. I'm trying to read the paper.
How is emotional abuse different from a normal outburst of anger that happens with all parents? Child psychologist Dr. James Garbarino.
What we're concerned about here is patterns in the way kids are treated. Every opportunity to use something against a child being taken and sticking the knife in or turning the screw. A pattern of disregard, a pattern of humiliation, a pattern of undermining the child's sense of self-worth.
Very few parents want to demean their children, and yet they find themselves doing it time and again, lashing out with hurtful words that humiliate their kids. Many parents don't realize what they're doing, and even those who do see the damage they're doing to their kids often find it very difficult to stop.
I would say, I wish I never had you. If I had to do it all over again, I would never have you.
Gail, a single mother of a 10-year-old son, is a member of Parents Anonymous, a group that helps parents who know they are mistreating their children and don't understand why.
My criticism was not nice. And it was one of those, you know, what are you, stupid? You don't know how to do this?
Gail knew she was hurting her son with her words. She saw the impact on him.
He started to withdraw from me.
Stay in his room, not talk to you?
Right. Nothing to say. I say, how was your day? And you get a shrug of the shoulders.
To help these parents understand why they behave the way they do toward their children, Parents Anonymous asks them to look back at the parenting they received as children, because people really learn to parent from their own parents.
My father used to say all the time, if it weren't for you goddamn no good kids, I could be happy. I can remember saying as a kid, I am never, ever going to make my kids miserable. And here I was doing those awful things that I had spent an entire lifetime saying, I am never going to do. I am never, never, ever going to do this.
Hey, how you doing?
Eric Breitenbach, a young father in Massachusetts, was determined it would not happen to him, that he would never hurt his daughter Anya the way he had been hurt as a child. Eric still has vivid memories of how frightened he was when his own father came home after work.
My father comes home and is like red with rage and screaming and starts wailing on me. Everybody's trying to figure out a way to get my father to stop doing what he's doing. And the next day, we all go about our business like everything's fine. And it's not normal. Kids shouldn't grow up in terror of their parents. They shouldn't.
Eric has never been abusive toward his daughter, but recognizing that abused children often grow up to be abusive parents, he decided to get help before a problem got started in his family.
And then we go right into that cycle of stuff that we talked about.
Together with his wife, Andrea, they go for counseling each week.
More accepting of...
We met with them along with their family therapist, Dr. David Treadway.
I'm trying to do it differently than the way my father did it, which was basically having temper tantrums and hitting his kids and stuff. That was a big impetus for me to get into therapy, because I didn't want to be this person that my child was terrified of.
Was there a moment when you realized that that was a possibility? That you might pass on that same thing?
Definitely. Yeah.
Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. It's that feeling out of control.
If I'm trying to help a parent think about their child, what I'm really interested in is how do they deal with a kid when they're upset? How do they treat the kid when they're having a difficult time? What happens when dad's upset about the bills? What happens when mom and dad aren't getting along?
You call yourself a husband? You can't even pay the phone bill!
Maybe if you'd stay off the damn phone, then maybe the bill wouldn't be so high. Then maybe I wouldn't have to break my back trying to pay it.
I should be the one breaking your back!
You already are.
What happens with the kid when the kid walks into that scene? Does one of the parents turn and say to the kid, well, what about you? You haven't done your room in a week.
You're driving me crazy. Why can't I have a normal family like on TV? Why can't I have a normal son instead of such a stupid one?
You leave him alone!
The kid who has an angry parent basically doesn't say, gee, my dad's got this emotional problem. He says, my dad wouldn't treat me like this if there weren't something wrong with me. That's the inner message that kids take away.
Like this? A little kid doesn't know you're not mad at them. And let's say I come home and I go into some kind of temper tantrum. My little kid's standing there. My little kid doesn't know that I'm mad at my boss. You know, as far as she can tell, I'm just mad, and she's scared.
That is a real, natural problem that all families have. Do I ever really take out my own angry feelings on my kids that don't have anything to do with my kids whatsoever? Of course I do. But the reality is that people are ashamed of that.
Because that's so embarrassing, so shameful, how do you reach these people?
By working on breaking the cycle of shame. It's the process of making peace with yourself and your parents, which in turn helps you make peace with yourself as a parent. Because if you can forgive your parents, you can forgive yourself.
By getting help now, Eric is investing in his family's future. It is precisely this kind of investment in the emotional well-being of a young family that can help that family later on, when it has to weather the inevitable difficulties of seeing a child through adolescence.
And when they reach adolescence, there are so many temptations in our society, so many negative influences to draw a child away from the family. There's drugs, there's alcohol, there's inopportune sexuality. That whole world is out there pulling at the child. What's pulling in the other direction? Basically, it's the strength of that attachment to the parents, that sense of, I've always been regarded, I have self-respect, I'm respected, and therefore I'll live in a dignified kind of way as a teenager.
These teenagers have all left home because they lost that sense of attachment to their parents. They live here at a home for street kids in Boston called the Bridge Over Troubled Waters.
Like sometimes she would say that I was unwanted and that she didn't want me, and I was a bad symbol of my father, and that she hated me, and that she just wished I wasn't there.
I can't remember ever feeling like I belonged to a family, you know. When I lived with my mother, nobody ate together. She ate in her room and I ate in my room, and that was it, you know.
Some kids may never lift themselves out of the sadness that results from emotional abuse in childhood. But ironically, a crisis during adolescence can force a family to confront the problem and maybe even undo the damage. One of the teenagers now living at the Bridge House is a good example of that, Carla.
I'd come home at 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk, and smile at my mother, breathe on her, make sure she knew I was drunk, just to get some attention. I was pissed. And as it progressed and it progressed, as I got older, I dabbled into drugs and drinking, and I just went wild.
And she went into...
Carla's mother, Bobby, divorced from Carla's father, had given up as well.
I could not live this way anymore with Carla. Carla was doing her own thing.
Carla's mother was caught up in that nightmare that so many parents fear. A kid involved in drugs and drinking, out of school, out of control, out on the street. But like so many parents of an adolescent in trouble, Bobby didn't think of it as a family problem. It was Carla's problem. She was the one causing the family anguish. She was the one who needed fixing. And Carla believed it too.
I thought it was me that was the problem. I was the problem, not them.
That perspective didn't change until, at age 16, Carla was arrested for drinking. Her probation officer suggested a treatment program that insisted on the whole family coming in for counseling. For Bobby, it was a breakthrough. Finally, she understood how she had hurt her own daughter.
It was all those years of not knowing how to talk to Carla or to any other kids. I had to learn how to change.
Bobby's willingness to change is what led to this. 2 years after leaving home, Carla now comes back to visit her mom. And now, for the first time in years, they're able to talk about how things went wrong between them.
So when Carla was little, she had nobody that knew how to give her what she needed. I didn't know how to parent. I really didn't understand of how to interact with your child, that you could talk to children and they could put some input into things.
Now what? When I was young, we didn't have a relationship. We didn't talk. And that's what I wanted.
I started going to counseling, and through that, I learned how to talk to Carla.
It may take professional help to see your way out of some of these traps that a family is in, but it certainly can be done. Those bonds can be reestablished. It really relies upon people starting to find a way to reestablish this message. I care about you, I care for you, I care what you're doing.
That's what I was trying to do, I think. I wanted my message to get across. I want to be loved. That's what I was trying to get with somebody to hold me tight and say that we want you, you're special, you're something, and just hold that. I think that's what holding tight means.
Carla says that slowly she is feeling closer to her mom and better about herself. And she asked us if she could say something to other kids and other families.
You have to admit to yourself that my life sucks, or my life is terrible, and I don't want to live it anymore. And I want to change it.
It is tough for both parents and kids, isn't it, Stone? And
it is.
And you realize from watching this, sometimes it's not just what you say, it's what you forget to say, what you don't say.
That's true. It underlines the tough job that parents have. And of course, parents aren't always to blame when relationships between parents and their kids go wrong. But it's worth remembering, I think, that that whereas we as adults have the ability, we're equipped to either ignore or to rationalize or retaliate against abusive type remarks, kids take it in and take it personally.
And we have to learn somehow to express our anger without making it personal.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you, Stone. Hugh?
Yes, without making it personal. You know, the child psychologist Chaim Ganat used to refer to anger without insult. He said a child can absorb a lot of anger, and it doesn't necessarily hurt him if you don't insult him. In other words, if you say you did wrong, that's not harmful. But you're stupid, that's harmful to a child. Well, when we come back, some improvements in the most dangerous job in America. Stay with us.
And now another page from ABC's Olympic Diary. Captain Billy Fisk was an amateur sportsman in the best tradition. At age 16, he drove his U.S. bobsled team to a gold medal in 1928 and again in 1932. When World War II broke out, he joined the RAF as a fighter pilot. He was shot down in combat and died a few hours after crash landing, the first American to be killed in action.
Dad! Now, a 2020 update. Last November, Tom Gerald told why working in the meatpacking industry is the most dangerous job in America. Among factors he cited are that in recent years, the number of federal safety inspectors has been reduced, and at the same time, workers are forced to meet higher production quotas.
I've seen beef fall off the line and hit people. I've seen people get kicked and get their lips and jaws split open. I've seen people cut very bad.
He was referring to the John Morrell plant in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But since our reports, there have been some changes at Morrell. And Tom Gerald is back to tell us about them. Tom?
Certainly have, Hugh. 3 of the top executives at Morrell have resigned since our report. Also, Morrell has hired a full-time safety training director. They've also brought in an outside engineer to survey the plant completely for safety hazards. At the IBP plant we reported on, OSHA, the federal watchdog agency, for the first time in years has come in and done a thorough wall-to-wall check for safety hazards.
So there are some improvements there.
Certainly are.
Thank you, Tom. Well, now here's Ted Koppel with a word about tonight's Nightline. Ted?
Hugh, our focus tonight is Gary Hart's private life and the Democrats' debate tonight in Des Moines. It may have been the most sensitive issue of the campaign to date. Hugh?
Thank you. That's Nightline following your local news. Well, that is 2020 for tonight. We thank you for joining us.
And remember that we're in touch, so you be in touch. I'm Barbara Walters.
And I'm Hugh Downs.
And for everyone here at ABC News, good night.
Working hard.
For a transcript of this or any 2020 broadcast, please send $3 to 2020 Transcripts. Journal Graphics, 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 10007. This has been the ABC News Magazine 2020.